All right, so here's our next update. Got my headers on. So these, I had to cut this bar out to make room for this where I wanted it. I could have went straight down, but then it's gonna blow dirt all over, and I think it looks stupid. So I didn't want to do that, so I got to cut that farther up there and bring it out more and go back to where it was. I don't know if it's really critical, it's just a door bar. I mean, it's extra strength right there, I guess, if it gets hit, so it doesn't cave that in. But I also want to make room for mufflers if I got to run mufflers at a track. And so this one, they say your primary length, like 28 to 30 is where you're going to see your most power. So this side's like 27 and this side's 30. So I tried to get it right in there, the length. I mean, they came all the way out to here without me cutting anything off. So obviously I got the plastic panels now, so can't have that. And I wanted to do the most I could. These are Davis ignition. These are their live wires. They're Mopar length, supposedly. Number one is super long for some reason. And all the odd ones, there's plenty of room. So I'm guessing that they're Chevy length, they just claimed it Mopar length. I'll show you over here. Like on this side, they're all super tight. Like look how tight that is. And number one's right there. I mean, I don't know where else they'd expect you to put it. But I mean, they look sweet, I like them. I think they're like 120 bucks or something. Not too bad. Got my fuel line hooked up, so that's where my gauge is. Have a fuel pressure gauge in there. This is the only thing I'm waiting on to start it up for you guys, so I can't start it up for you. I ordered 3/8-6, but it's supposed to be 3/8-8. I don't know where I was reading on the internet, but it was wrong. And then I redid these motor mounts. I still want to put a tie bar from here to there, just in that. I went and bought a MIG welder to do it. Like, this is all some nasty TIG that I did. And I don't mean nasty in a good way, I mean, it's nasty looking. But then I was trying to weld upside down with the TIG, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not that guy, unfortunately. I want to do a straight, so it has this 180 bend on it, and then a straight, we'll put it right there, and it'll be super close to this, but there's enough room. I can do a 90. I can always clock this too if I wanted, but I don't really want to, since every time I take something apart with the gaskets, it usually falls apart, even though that is new. But there's that mount. I just got the bell housing on. I still don't have a pilot bushing made. Really need to get on that. But it's level in the car. With the Chevy, there's like spacers on that side of the mid plate when it was in there. So I don't know if they like tried cocking it this way, if that makes sense. But I just took them out and mounted it flat. So it is what it is. I mean, who knows if those are straight? You don't know. And then I got to rewire or not rewire it, but do the starter wire that side. Chevy's on this side, obviously. And they had an MSD starter on it when the Chevy was in it, but yet they had a solenoid there on that runs to the push button in the car. I don't know why that is, because that starter had a solenoid on it, and Mopars have solenoids on it. So maybe someone can explain why they do an external solenoid. I don't know. This one is actually 30 and 28, so 30 on the outside, 28 on the inside. They are supposed to be the same length for the most power, but maybe I'll build a set now, because now there's no header rule. It just has to be the same size tubing all the way through, which we'll just cover that up, pretend you didn't see it. But these were the part number that we had to run last year. These are the 461s or 451s from Schoenfeld. They fit like shit. When you tighten up the header bolts, you can, this whole thing like goes all over the place, because, and that was before I welded it even, so you can't blame that on me. Just the flange was awful. These heads, all the threads are messed up. This is just like a junker that I got out of a truck, and I put a circle track cam in it. Then this intake's legal. It doesn't flow too bad for being 318 size port. It's a 318 Performer. And that's the carb off the Chevy. And then this is one of those composite blowers. You can see through there. These flow actually really good. They help a ton. I just saw a video on that. And then got my KRC set up. So one wire alternator. I'm not gonna say who uses a one wire alternator, but you know, that's what came in the kit. It fits all right. I mean, there's a lot of jostling around you got to do with it, space it back and forth, on, off, on, off, on, off. It's a little 3 groove for the alternator. That's a 3-inch diameter and 3-inch diameter crank pulley down there. Usually in the kit it comes with a 4-inch, but they didn't have a 4-inch. The guys at KRC told me that once the Mopar stuff's all sold, that they're done with it. They're not making anything else. So if you want stuff made, I guess you better call them and we can get some more voices up there. But Jones also makes stuff. This was, what was it? I think it was $1,100. It would have been $1,500 with a new pump, but I had that pump off my Chevy. That's a PSC pump, and I had to move that out. I imagine all the pumps look the same between the brands, so I imagine I would have had to space theirs out too. It's not because of that, but the ribs fit. Trying to think what else. What else I've done to it. So this is the bar I was talking about. I want to do that on the other side. Just, I don't know, there's just an aluminum plate holding it back there from going back and forth. I mean, these saddle type mounts, these are just truck mounts, by the way. The other one I cut up to rework, but I don't have a tubing bender, so I just weld it straight to. So when I pull the engine, I have to pull the mid plate with it, and then jostle it around this. So it's gonna be a pain. And then for the throttle, I just had to flip this to this side. It was over there, and move that. And I want to get all the wiring off this stuff, obviously. But I ordered a new temperature probe that kicks the light on. So the one that was in it was 250. I mean, I feel like if you're at 250, it's already too late. Even the one that I got, the lowest one they had was 235, which is pretty scary. But I mean, if it's 235, it's time to pull off immediately, I feel like. Oh, and then I got the MSD HEI rev controller, so that just plugs into all this stuff. You can see these spades. I want to tape those up so they don't come undone. But and then I had to order pressure plate bolts because the pressure plate bolts that I had, they were all mismatched, and that's spinning, so I want it all to be equal. And then down here for the starter, this starter bolt I had to drill out. They didn't leave a mark for it or a hole in it when they cut this plate. And then I took the piece that I cut off the other side when I initially mounted it because there's a bunch of overhang, and I put it down there, and I'm going to tack weld that. It doesn't have to be, but I'll just make it easier so it doesn't fall off like when you're pulling it, and it's all ground out to fit the starter, just for extra support. I haven't even seen if it engages good, so I might have to move that around because I didn't run the plate that covers the whole bell housing, just because there's already, I don't have a lot of engagement on the input shaft of the transmission with the clutch disc already, so I want to get it as close as possible so I can get as much in there. So that's why I didn't run that plate. So hopefully a bunch of dirt doesn't build up in there, because that'll suck. And then this is just like a stock truck pan. I didn't put my good oil pan to fit on it. I imagine everything will fit right, but since I said that, I'm sure something will be wrong, like the starter won't even fit or something odd like that, you know. But you can see the spacers down there. And if you run a Magnum, there's a bolt hole like right in here. So then you can run 3 bolts. So right now it's just 2 bolts. And the bolts they gave me weren't long enough. So one's just an old water pump bolt out of an LA. And then the bolts that they gave me down there were wrong also. So I had to go to the hardware store and get those. I think they're 5/16, but hopefully you can see that pulley. There you can see the crank pulley a little bit better on that. It's got a big nut on the end of it, and then there's a bolt that goes through it. That bolt that goes through it, they gave me that wrong also, so I had to go get another one. And that's just a stock harmonic balancer. Like I said, this is just an engine I put in here to mock everything up. Then this belt's too long. That's at max adjustment, and you can see it's pretty loose. So I ordered a new one that's 2 inches shorter. This is a 34-inch belt, and I ordered a 32. So I mean, I keep this as a backup if I had to, but I kind of don't want to start it because I don't want to slip it. And then the next biggest thing is going to be my fan. So as you can see, where it sat before, that's not going to work. So I had to order a fan from KRC, and the shortest one they had was an 1.5 inch spacer, and then the fan goes on. But if in the rules, IMCA says that we can cut out the cross member for radiator clearance, so I'm gonna have to do that and then move it way back or way forward. And the thing that sucks is these are countersunk, and that's what holds it and like keeps it in position. trying to think of the word, like aligned, I guess. But they said take 2 of those out and just run 2 long bolts. So you got 1.5 inches plus this on, then holding the fan on, just 2 bolts and spinning the fan. I don't know, it seems kind of sketchy to me, but is what it is, I guess. And then a lot of Mopars are really shallow on this water, like intakes for Mopars are really shallow on this crossover. So I need to find something, it's a 1/2 inch NPT for that dummy light to kick on. So I want to find a thermostat housing that screws into. I mean, I could do it here and get like, try to find an adapter to neck this down and then delete this, because I'm not going to run a thermostat. But yeah, I don't know about that. There's still a lot of little stuff I got to do. I mean, the ignition's all wired up just because it's an HEI distributor and that's what we have to run. That's what was in it before. So that'll be easy. I got to get all new control arms and springs and stuff. So I'm doing that today. I'm supposed to get a call back about a price on that stuff. Oh, and then I sent all the dimensions in for my wrap. So hopefully the next video I do, it'll be wrapped and show that. But I want all the suspension and stuff figured out. I'm gonna take it to Crabtree. And he's gonna scale it for me and all that, because I want the suspension to be right when I put the good engine in. I'd rather race with the car set up perfect than go out there with like a good engine and then shit handling car, because then you're just putting laps on a good engine for no reason. I don't think this thing would keep up, to be honest. I mean, it has decent cam, it's 40 over, flat top, but I can't remember how far in the deck these pistons were, and those heads they're garbage, they're just smock heads. I have some 308s, and then I got some tooling for that. I'll make a video on that. You can see those shiny over there. But I think that's all I wanted to show this time. If you have any questions, let me know, or want to see something. But yeah, it's in here. And then the only reason I couldn't use this fitting is you can see the threads chunked off. That's a brand new fuel pump. I mean, I probably get to work, but I don't want to screw up the threads on that. Then I got to blow out that fuel line because it was open for so long. My Optima red top actually charged up, so that's pretty cool. Also, he called me about my shocks, and one of my right front tube is messed up where he broke his tap off trying to get that little guy out. And there was a nick in the tube, so he's gonna try to find a used one for me and do that. But yeah, I just, as far as like fabricating stuff, just got to notch that out for the radiator mount. And make a mount for the radiator, obviously. Put that other tube in. I have more of this tubing, but I like the look of the little tubing. I know I should just get it done, but I don't know. I like the look of the little 1-inch tubing. That's super thick wall too. I think it's like 125 wall, if I remember right. And, but yeah, I'm excited. We're getting there. It looks good. Mopar in the car. Doesn't run, but it's in there. Hopefully I can get that and be on our way.